He's enthusiastic to hear that.
Good standing and take his name.
In case you haven't noticed, I'm chairing the meeting today. Members, are you content that we move into open session?
Yes.
Members, we are now in public session. I invite the public into the gallery.
That's just when you come forward there.
Yes, yes. Well, now we're settled in. Everyone's welcome to today's meeting of the Public Accounts Committee. And as standard practice, I have to remind you, if you need to, turn off your mobile phones, your electronic devices, with the exception, of course, of your tablets, which contain your electronic committee meeting pack. It is not sufficient to put mobiles on silent mode as they continue to interfere with the Assembly recording. The session has been recorded in video and audio and can be accessed live online, streaming either on the Assembly website or on Democracy Live. We move on to agenda number 1, which is apologies or excuses. And I have genuine apologies, I'm sure, from the chairperson, Michaela Boyle, Mr Flanagan, Mr Hussey and Mr McCullen, and I understand we'll be joined by Sean Rogers later. Are there any other apologies? Okay, we move on to item number 2, which is the minutes of the meeting of the 29th of April 2015. Members, the minutes of the last meeting can be found at page 5 of your electronic packs.
Agreed.
The blue packs for those who are not yet using the electronic system. Members, are you content that I sign them into the record?
Agreed.
Thank you. Move on to item number 3, and the first item is correspondence. Mr Bradley, Mr Donnelly are in their places. Correspondence received from the Committee for Finance and Personnel, the NICS absence report. Members, at page 9 of your electronic packs, again it's the blue pack for those of you not yet using the electronic system, you will find correspondence from the Committee for Finance and Personnel. Correspondence relates to their report into sickness absence within the Northern Ireland public sector. The Chair of the Committee for Finance and Personnel has written to each statutory Assembly committee asking them to scrutinise department's performance against sickness absent targets going forward. Members, are you content to note this correspondence?
Yep.
Okay. Can we move on to the next item of correspondence received from ESA re the Northern Ireland Housing Executive Tender? At page 10 of your electronic packs, and again the blue packs for those not using the electronic system yet, you will see correspondence from a firm named ESA, EASA, that is involved in the supply of mobility products. They are writing to the Housing Executive in protest at the award of a contract to a rival firm whose products they claim do not meet the tender specification. They claim this has created an unfair playing field which disadvantages them, and they are obtaining legal counsel prior to seeking damages for loss of business incurred. ESA had previously written to the Public Accounts Committee on the 22nd of March 2013, making similar claims, and had also written to the Housing Executive and the Social Development Minister at this time. In August 2013, the Housing Executive replied to ESA, copying in the PEC, and stated they had received the relevant documentation from the successful bidder which confirmed that their products met the required tender specification. At this stage, the PEC forwarded on the correspondence to the Social Development Committee. Now, given the prospective legal proceedings, are members content to note this correspondence at this stage? Noted. Agreed, noted. We move on to
Just for
item number...
clarification, so the issue's simply been resolved at the court level, there's no other public sector involvement?
I understand it's now in the domain of the legal profession. As Kieran wants to add something to that.
Well, I don't know that for certain, though there is a sentence in this correspondence which says, I believe it is illegal under European procurement law. So
Yes.
the legality of the letter has been questioned.
But that doesn't mean to say it's actually gone to court?
Yeah,
Gone to
so
law?
I'm not aware whether it has or has not.
Don't know.
Um,
We can, yes, you want us to check?
I'm just trying to think what would be appropriate. I'm recently on the Social Development Committee and certainly wasn't aware of this previously, so I don't know when it was referred to them, unless it's in the system on its way to them. I'm just curious, what is the role of the PAC in this, if any?
Well, strictly speaking, you could say it's a commercial issue, and if a firm is dissatisfied, they have recourse through the courts. That said, it might be useful if the committee would receive the Housing Executive's reply to this to see what the other side of the story is. I'd find it difficult to form a view just based on what is here, what the rights and wrongs of the case are.
I think it would be useful perhaps if the committee was kept informed, but certainly I think the advice is not to get involved in a debate about it because of either court action or potential court action or whatever. Mr. Riggs,
It's probably better, maybe the Social Development Committee might remove it, but if it's not actually legal action being taken as of yet, it may not be in court. But I'm just curious whether it's a role for the Social Development Committee or PAC or DFP, because it may be not meeting.
There's a procurement issue here.
That's what I mean. If it went through CPD.
There may be a procurement issue. It might be worth
Okay.
just forwarding it to.
But useful to find the answer, to be kept informed of proceedings anyway in the meantime.
Well, certainly to pick up on your point, Paul, the Social Development Committee wasn't kept informed in the past, and there's no reason why that shouldn't continue to be the practice. And there's no reason why this committee shouldn't be kept informed as to what developments might take place. Agreed? Item number 4, matters arising. I have to tell you there are no new matters arising. Item number 5, Memorandum of Response update on the report into account NI. Members, at page 44 of your electronic pack, and for those who are still working with the blue pack, you will find correspondence from the Department of Finance and Personnel containing an update to a Memorandum of Response on the committee's report into account NI, which was entitled Review of a Public Sector Financial Shared Service. The update covers 2 points. Firstly, an interim update on the recommendation to progress work on developing cost-related performance measures and identifying suitable benchmarking comparators for account NI. Secondly, an assessment of the extent to which the recommendations in the report are applicable to each shared service. If you have consumed that, I'll go on. With regard to the first point, benchmarking comparisons were undertaken in 3 strands. First, with 4 Northern Ireland public bodies. Secondly, as part of an average central government comparison run by SIPFA. And thirdly, as part of a Cabinet Office exercise comparing government shared services. These 3 exercises are at various stages of completion, but early results show account NI comparing favourably on cost and performance. In relation to the second point, work has been undertaken in each shared service to assess how PAC recommendations would apply to their own service area. A full report on the outcome of the work is contained in an annex to the MOR update. In short, the report finds that work is ongoing within each shared service to implement each of the PAC recommendations. Mr. Donnelly, do you have any comments to make?
Yeah, well, of course, the committee's report was on one shared service, which was account NI, and the committee recommended that the lessons from that would be read across to the other shared services, so that's in train. I'd also say we haven't validated, there's a lot of material here. It's okay as far as it goes, but I think we would have liked to have seen maybe less words and more figures in terms of, there's a lot of material on staff costs, quite a few paragraphs, but it doesn't actually tell you where are we in staff costs, staff numbers, have they actually come down. So it's okay, I think, as far as it goes, but it's quite a wordy document. But I think there could have been some more just headline figures in it, get an overview of where actually is account NI in performance. You want to add anything to that?
Just, I think, 2 points. The committee's recommendation was very much focused on getting suitable benchmarks. So while account NI has looked at comparators within Northern Ireland and SIPFA, those aren't shared service centres, so whether they're actually suitable and appropriate benchmarks is, I suppose, a matter for discussion. The other thing was that the committee's report also mentioned the need for better cost-related performance measures, and there hasn't really been much progress there in given specifics on what they're now going to measure cost against in the future and how they'll track progress.
Okay, do members have any questions to ask or any observations to make? If not, are you content to note the contents of this MOR update? Yeah. Move on to item number 6, Memorandum of Response on the report into primary care prescribing. Page 67 of your electronic packs, blue packs for those not yet using the electronic system, you will find a Memorandum of Response on the report into primary care prescribing. The MOR is very positive. Of the 9 recommendations, 6 are accepted and other 2 are already implemented. The final recommendation, which relates to finding a solution to the contractual dispute between the Department and community pharmacists, is accepted. However, the Department explained that finding a solution is not within their complete control. The Department say that they remain committed to finding a suitable way forward as soon as possible. One of the recommendations which the Department classify as already implemented is PEC Recommendation 2, regarding the publishing of benchmarking data for GP practices to compare against each other. While the Department note that they publish benchmarking data on individual drugs, they do not break this information down by individual GP practice as recommended by the committee. Members, are you content that we write to the Department asking them again to publish the data broken down by individual GP practice?
Agreed.
Agreed. Kieran, do you have any comments to make?
No, I'd endorse the point that you mentioned there, Chair. While the published data on the website, it doesn't provide the sort of breakdown that the committee was interested in, so it doesn't go quite as far as I think as you expected. Otherwise, I think this is a very positive response to the various recommendations.
Okay. Are you content to note this MOR and that, as is now customary, we request an update 12 months on the implementation of the recommendation? Agreed. Agreed. Members, for the remaining items of business, it's necessary that we move into closed session. Are members content that we now move to closed session? Agreed.
29.